Hi, I'm Liz Cully, and welcome back to Cool, Cool, Cool. Each week, I give you a glimpse into what I think is cool and chat with a ton of people that are definitely cool. No topic is off bounds unless, I guess, it's not cool. Welcome to Cool, Cool, Cool. I just love me some Cameron Esposito. Let me tell you. They are so funny, so kind, so chill. And that doesn't always happen, you know, especially with comedians. You never know what you're going to get. Complicated characters, layers, just so deep, so many emotions. But I love when they're just chill and cool and kind and collected. And that is what you will get today on Cool, Cool, Cool. I recently saw Cameron at a friend's comedy show, and we really dive into that, which is great. And really just talk about our feelings, because you know that's what queer people do. We talk about our feelings. So enjoy. I like to say that I'm a wonderful audience member in a comedy show because I love to laugh so much. That being said, I don't typically like being in the front row. Especially when I know the comics, especially when it's an intimate setting like a backyard.
Yeah, I loved it. FYI.
Did you?
Because I hadn't seen you in a while. And
I was
horrified. I think the last time because we've internet met, and then I bumped into you at the Grove. I don't know if
oh my God, yes.
Which I don't even know why I was at the Grove. I'm not at the Grove. That's not a place I'm
You
at.
were at the Grove. And I
just
felt
don't live near there.
No, I know, but I felt I used to live there, and now I live next to the other Grove. I live in Glendale now.
Near the Americana?
Yeah, I live in Glendale.
How weird. The Americana is my zone. I go there every year to see it snow for Christmas.
Oh my God, call me.
Do they do that at the Grove or no?
Oh yeah, they definitely do that at the Grove.
The snow is amazing. Look, I'm from Chicago, and for anybody that doesn't know what I'm talking about, we're already going, right? This is already the show.
Yeah, this isn't the show. We're good to go.
Okay. Yeah, because when I first moved to LA, around Christmas time at this, it's like a chain of malls, the Grove.
Rick Caruso. I feel like people now in the zeitgeist.
He ran for
mayor. Oh yeah.
But anyway, he owns these malls, and at 8 p.m. around Christmas time, they shoot, I don't know what that is, something that's destroying the environment, I'm sure.
Into plastic.
The air. I think it's bubble. Yeah, it's but it's so fun, and
it's wonderful.
Christmas, and then
they just actually. I'm going to cut you off. They only play Michael Bublé. Rick Caruso is single-handedly making Michael Bublé a bajillion, and it doesn't even have to be Christmas. Constant Michael Bublé.
Sure. Okay. You know what? You're right.
Yes.
And also, there's a trolley. If you are into commercialism, and for me, that is a part of the holiday season. I'll look. Do I want to hold a shopping bag and walk around near a trolley and get hit in the eye with plastic snow? It turns out, yes.
Yeah.
Because shopping in a place is no longer a part of my life, since the internet will deliver, men's clothes to me at my house.
Fair enough. I have a hard, and I was there returning something, and I felt it's so weird, especially post-pandemic. And for me, probably similar to you, I meet a lot of people via the internet, or I had the pleasure of interviewing a lot of people via the internet. So I'm always like, hey, I'm Liz in real life.
No, that was cool. Okay. I liked that you just said, hey. And then, so anyway, you were sitting in the front row at this show that was outside. And I thought you were great audience member, loved it. I was I'm in this zone of in LA. I'm just kind of fucking around and trying things out. So it was not a tight stand-up set, but I had a really nice time sort of telling stories and experimenting with stuff. Because, when I'm on the road and people are paying a ticket price, or even in LA when people are paying a ticket price, then I feel I have to give them a show. But if I'm in a backyard, I'm
well, I think we have to set the scene because you're negating some incredibly funny moments. So we were at Rachel Scanlon, who everybody knows is a dear friend. I love Rachel to death. I'm sure
Absolutely.
you do too. She has this backyard series. It's very queer. It's wonderful. This was right in Franklin Village. We go and we were not late, I would say. It just was the queers were very prompt. So when we arrived, I was like, Rachel, where am I? Not to be like, whatever, diva-ish, but I'm like, where the fuck am I supposed to sit? She's like, oh, no, I want like in the front row. I'm like, dude, come on. Like, don't put me. And my poor wife is painfully shy. So I'm like, okay, you want us in the front row? She's like, yeah, you're a great laugh. Like, you're a great laugher. Go in the front. I'm like, oh, fuck. So we go in the front. The first two, like Rachel does her thing, another comic does her thing. But what people don't realize is that there was a building, an apartment building right next to us that was pissed.
Yeah, they did have to yell. They did have to yell to shut up. And you know what I will say?
You are the perfect person to come on. You were perfect. You were perfect because you're like, yeah, I would probably do the same.
That's me. That is me 100%. If there was a fucking show next to my house, I mean, unfortunately, there would have to be a true crime podcast about what I would do to those folks that were performing at that show. I love entertainment, but it does matter if I can opt in, and for sure, like a full amplified stand-up show.
Like a full stage.
Like a nightmare.
But then the best part is that then they started playing like Nickelback or something, remember? But something else happened during that show, and I thought you were so kind and graceful and incredible. And, and for people listening, some people don't know, like, you really should. Okay, there's two. And this is Liz Culley's opinion.
This is cute. I don't know what's going to happen.
You don't know what's going to happen? I'm going to. Well, other than the fact that you were like, oh my God, Liz in the front. I was like, yes, keep talking to me. Oh my God, yay.
Very sweet.
But another thing happened during that show. It was chaotic for you. You were like handling it all. I think you were having like your first White Claw. It was a lot. Everything was happening.
And also, just FYI, look, I'm fully at like, here's the thing. And I'm in a place where I made it. Like, I already made it. Now, could I continue to be a bigger presence in the stand-up world? Do I still have goals and dreams? Yes. But what I'm trying to say is, when you're a baby comic, you sort of have to like beg, borrow, and steal, right, to try to get on a show. But I've got it in the bag. I've got creds.
You're good.
Whatever. So for this show, and like I did this again last night. For this show, Rachel was like, "Will you do the show?" And I was like, "Listen, Rachel, just so you know, I need to be able to park." So like they let me park.
Oh my God,
the driveway.
Obsessed.
I was like, I need to be able to park. Also, I will arrive for my set, and I will leave when it is over. I just am really at that place of like, tell me exactly when to be there. And I'm so friendly and loving. I did a show last night where it was like, it's this great show called Comedian Feud. And you have to like assemble your team and you play
that sounds
a game.
Like a lot of work. Whoa.
This is what I said. I said, I would love to be a team captain. You provide the team and I won't even read any emails. I will show up. Tell me what it is. Like, I'm tired, man, and I got other stuff going on. And so anyway, that is also part of this. Is that
okay?
Well,
show, you wouldn't have known. You wouldn't have known. You were so lovely. You arrived. You got dealt the fucking brunt because I don't know if you realize, because you drove onto set and then
I
walked
literally
up.
did. I parked directly at the microphone.
Which, by the way, for those listening,
me out. Yeah,
in Franklin Village is like 100.
Yeah, babe.
Yeah,
you gotta say throw in parking.
100%.
Otherwise, anyway, keep going.
So what you don't realize is that the comic before you was, I think, still working out volume. And was so fucking loud. And then you come up. You were so great. You were working on what I think is new material, and I'll get to this. But I just want people to listen to two things. And this is a Liz Culley. I'm not putting words in your mouth. I actually don't give a singular fuck when you go to a concert, because I grew up going to concerts with like throwaway cameras, and we specifically just took pictures of ourselves smoking cigarettes in parking lots. And then we would like develop those pictures and remember like blacking out. That is the extent. And then we had our own memories of going to said concerts. I don't actually need to be on Instagram listening or watching you at Beyonce or Taylor Swift. Please enjoy that concert. When you go to a comic, please don't record that comic. Like, you are there to be present, ingesting, understanding, feeling the energy, and being at a show. So a lovely super fan of yours started to record you and you stopped, but you could not have been lovelier, kinder, chiller. And you're like, hey, are you recording me? And because I don't like conflict because I'm like the child of an alcoholic. So I was like, oh, and you're like, hey, are you recording me? And this person was like, yeah, but it's like for my own thing. And you're like, hey, and you paused and you stopped and you're like, I'm working out material. I need to be able to sell this. Like, I just thought you were if I didn't love you before that, my wife and I were like, God, she's what a lovely human being, that Cameron Esposito. I really have to say, because she's a therapist, so we obviously processed this in the car ride home.
Oh my God, that's so sweet.
And I was like, God, Cameron really handled that like so empathetically and kind. I mean, I think you were a little annoyed, but that's also me observing. But you were like, do you mind deleting that? It wasn't like you roasted them, or I hate all that crowd work. I don't like that like shit. But I really have to give you the feedback in real time. I just was like, you are a wonderful person for setting your boundary, but also kind of educating people to not record you. Anyway.
Wow, that is so sweet. And here's what I'll say. So, I'm not a million years old. I'm a regular age. I'm 42. But when I started doing stand-up, so I was like 19 when I started doing comedy. And then I was 25 when I switched from like doing improv professionally to stand-up. So that's almost 20 years ago. And what I will say is that out queer comics that mixed into the world, that wasn't a thing. Like Wanda Sykes and Alan and folks like that, they made their names and then came out, and it did have career repercussions. Same thing with like Rosie O'Donnell. Like, it had career repercussions for all of them. Like, I don't know if you remember on the Rosie O'Donnell show, she always had to like sell that she had a big crush on Tom Cruise. Like, we really had to fly.
Do we not? First of all, I can't wait to finally meet Rosie. We DM'd once, and that was it. And
she's great.
I've heard she's wonderful, but I always want to be like, babe, like, that was also so strange because Tom Cruise is allegedly so.
Yeah. Well, like, it's like we
Scientologist. That's what if you were waiting for the pause, I was so allegedly Scientologist is what I was trying to allude to.
Like, we had to, right? We had to do that. Like, there wasn't an option. And then the folks who were out and queer, the like Leah Delarios, they were sort of put into another category. Like, until Leah had this huge moment on Orange is the New Black. Like, that's a person who'd been doing stand-up forever and hadn't like reached that sort of like being paid the right amount and all that kind of thing. So anyway, the reason I'm saying all this is I feel like because of when I started and the number of comics that were out, and I was, I was young and people were young people go out to shows. A lot of times, many, many times, the number, I can't even tell you, it's an uncountable amount of times, folks have told me that like they're queer and it's their first stand-up show because of that thing where comics have a reputation for like roasting, picking out people, noticing them. For queer people to be noticed is dangerous. Like, we have like unusual haircuts, or we're wearing like a suit or dressing in masculine clothing or super feminine. And then like there's a zillion things that in culture we're already picked apart for. And then in comedy, like, I think people arrive really, really nervous. And so when I'm interacting with an audience, I'm like so aware of my own experience as a queer person and then the audience's experience. And so like after a show, if there's a meet and greet moment and folks are like I can tell who is wearing a tie to my show who might not be able to do that at work. Like, I can tell the number of times I've had folks be like, it's like a trans femme person who says to me, like, this is the first time I've dressed like this in public. Like, it's so many times. So if somebody is recording me, I'm just like aware of how like delicate we are and how like the Supreme Court affects our ability to love and enjoy stand-up comedy. So like
100%.
what I want to do is hold you all in my hands like little baby birds, because I need to be a baby bird too. And like, I think I'm very funny. I think I give a good show, but I also don't want you to be, I don't want to harm you. Like that's not my goal.
Yeah.
And also, if you're like a straight dude with giant arms, who's like feeling really threatened by me, I will destroy you.
Oh,
like you know, like it's not like I fully can take that person apart. But if it is us, if it's like our fam, I'm so gentle. Does that make sense?
No, of course it does. And you were exactly that. And I think, you know, I've been to so many shows. I typically kind of only go to queer shows now because I'm like, fuck everybody. I mean, not fuck everybody else. I love you, Ron, if you're listening. Ron Fudges for life. Ron's probably like, fuck Liz. But like, Ron is a dear, dear friend. We've been friends for 15 years, like whatever. But I typically go to support my people. You know what I mean? Like that's what again, I'm old too, right? So like we've all been doing this for so long. And if I'm going to go drive to Franklin Village and literally panic that my car is going to be towed in like 15 minutes, I'm going to make sure it's for you and for Rachel and also I want to see new people and support new people. But I had to tell you because it stuck with us. I mean, we were like driving home and I was just like, that was so wonderful. Rachel's like, I know. I loved that Cameron set her boundaries. And I was like, me too. And like it all worked. And that person probably didn't leave feeling gutted, but more, you know, I think also, not to like bring it back to the strikes, but it is really hard to make money as a creative person right now with the internet. Your stuff being, you know what I mean? Your new material, which was very vulnerable, by the way, I loved it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is really difficult. And so I think there's so many layers to actually that teachable moment that you were showing. I think, you know, going viral doesn't do shit for me. Like it's happened to me a couple of times. It doesn't really fucking matter. It doesn't put money into my wallet. It doesn't help me pay for this show, for this producer. And so I think people sometimes forget that. We're like, that's cool. But I actually need to, like all these wonderful things that are in my brain, I need to actually, you know, make some.
And you're specifically also talking about like, are you talking about like the roast, the sort of like aggressive crowd work that goes viral? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I've never done any. Are you kidding me? I'm like,
no, I just mean in terms of when you're saying,
I mean like,
or are you saying if taking captured that and shared?
Yes, exactly. I'm talking. I'm saying, you know, I've had moments where in this show or my past show, where people have shared things and it got picked up.
Yeah.
But that didn't give me advertisers. That didn't do shit. And so I guess my point was you were like, hey, I'm working on material. Could you not share it because I need it to be fresh so that when I walk into a room, I can package it and sell it, etc.
Totally. I mean, I've had even like I had my first ever late night set ended up being like a whole thing.
Wait, what show was that on?
To do it. It was on Craig Ferguson. And it was like a year after I moved here. So 10 years ago, it was like, so I moved here in 2012. It was like the 1 year anniversary of when I moved here. It was 2013. And I had been on Chelsea Lately a bunch. I started doing like animated voices. I was on a bunch of other things. But I hadn't done stand up on television yet. And I got booked on the Craig Ferguson show to do, you know, those stand up spots that are like 4 minutes and 20 seconds or whatever. And you have to have a really planned out set. You send them tapes. You send them a transcript. They run it by censors. Like it is very, all that stuff that you see that, and now it's like on TikTok, they, you know, like Fallon or whatever puts their stuff out on TikTok, but it exists on television as well. And then, you know, like YouTube, everywhere else. But so you're basically selling them a scripted, like very specifically scripted thing. Anyway, I went on the show and it was the week that Jay Leno had announced that he was going to leave the Tonight Show. And he was the other guest on Craig Ferguson, which, by the way, never happens. Like a late night host is not a guest on another late night. Like Jimmy Fallon is like not on like John Oliver's show. Like it's not a thing. So I showed up and Jay was the other guest. And he was very kind to me backstage because he saw me like pacing around with a notebook and he was like, "Oh, are you the comic on the show?" And
oh my God.
And so,
wow.
So he was like, "Go out there and kill him." And here's the other thing. In the way that they taped things, the comics, the guests wouldn't stay and watch. So like the guest comes out and does an interview with Craig and then they sort of like leave if they want to.
Sort of like you driving up to the backyard.
Exactly. It's like Jay doesn't have to stay for that. Nobody gives a fuck. So he, because I was a comic, stayed. And so there's 2 late night hosts that are watching me do stand up. And I, at the time, was talking about being engaged. And again, it's 2013. It's like, I don't even think we like didn't have like the national right to get married. Like it was like, this was like very rock and roll to be talking about this on CBS. And I said, I don't even know what to wear as like a lesbian, which was what I was using at the time. I'm going to wear like a denim wedding dress. And then I turned to Jay and I was like, "Jay, you understand denim. I don't have to tell you about it," which is like not a thing. You don't like turn and talk to the person, but I just was like inspired in the moment. Then Craig Ferguson says, "Are you calling Jay Leno a lesbian?" And then I said, "Well, you don't get that kind of hair swoop without uncertain knowledge of the community." This like just popped into my head in a moment. God. We're having like a back and forth, like almost like a heckling situation. And it was so wild. Then that was so like high. The crowd was like losing their minds so much that I couldn't even like finish the set. And Craig was like, "Do you want to just come over here and sit down?" Which is, as a comic, it's like it's compliment to be invited to sit down during your set. And so the 2 of them, Jay is like sitting on a chair next to Craig. I'm sitting in a chair. My feet on this chair like don't even touch the ground. I just have like little dangling feet. And I'm sitting with the 2 of them. I don't remember what they asked me about, like where I'm from or something. It doesn't matter. They're talking to me about my set. They like loved it. Then Jay Leno looks to the camera, like spikes the camera, direct eye contact, and says, "Yes, no." Craig goes, "Yes, old straight white men are out." And Jay says, "Yes, lesbians rule." And then that was the end of the show. And this was on CBS. Like nobody was using the word lesbian. Certainly not Jay Leno.
That's wild.
Anyway, the point is, I had to do a bunch of it was like news, news. Jay Leno. Jay Leno. It was like the headline was like, "Jay Leno loves lesbians" or whatever it was, And like I did some interviews about it. It was wild.
Okay, fine. So remember when I said a few moments ago that going viral doesn't make anybody money or do anything? That is a different viral moment.
That did actually change my career.
Yeah, that's very different. That's very different. The first time I ever saw you live in the flesh, speaking of lesbians, was an evening with women. Do you remember?
What the fuck is anything? I don't even know.
No, come on. You remember this. Remember?
Now, do you know the number of things?
I know. You're a famous person. I know.
No, but like the number of things I've done, and if you remind me what it is, I will know what it is.
Okay, I'm going to remind you right now.
Okay.
It used to be a charity event in Los Angeles every year with Brent Bolthouse, and Linda Perry would always perform. The year that I saw you, I think it was Carole King. This
is at,
and it was like at the Fonda Theater, or something like that. Do you remember? Yeah, and that
I hosted that.
You did,
yeah,
and that does not exist anymore. Those kind of grandiose queer female identifying led evenings. However, do you?
Clea Duvall and
yes,
her wife Mia. I think I got involved because of Mia.
It's wild the thing.
And my parents came to that actually because when you get to do a show with Carole King, you say to your parents, "Do you want to like come to this? Because look, you don't have context for everything that I've done in my career, but you do know who Carole King is.
100%.
So like, let's give you a moment to like understand at all what I do. Because I just mean like, there's a lot of like stuff that doesn't really make sense. And it was so sweet. Yeah, they came to that. The thing I'll say about, well, I'm into the fact that like gender fuckage and queerness has expanded what it means to be like a person assigned female at birth. I mean, because for me, I really identify as gender fluid. I mean, I look at Harry Styles and David Bowie and I go, oh, that's what I think I look like. So I don't know. I'm not sure if when you look at me, you see Harry Styles.
Actually,
but when I look at me,
yes, actually, I do. And in fact, the last time I interviewed you, I believe you said you identified as dandy. Does that still?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
I like that.
So like when I'm in spaces like that, that feels awesome to me. Like spaces where like that was a very like femme, woman positive. Like when I'm in spaces like that, that feels awesome to me. I also think that even more like explicitly inclusive spaces feel awesome to me too. And I think some of that has, like, I feel comfortable in all those spaces, and I don't know that everybody does.
Sure.
But I do. So it's like a combo of, I'm so happy that maybe more people get to feel comfy, and also I would feel comfy in those places too. Not everybody would.
Do you think it's the same kind of vibe when it's those that identify in the female queer spaces as the same as those that identify in the male queer spaces, like as an equal thing? Because there's definitely a different energy.
Well, there's cis gay men, and
right.
Then there's
okay, fine.
else.
I should say that. Would you feel as comfortable in cis gay male spaces?
I just taped stand up for World of Wonder. Has like a
sure
app that has like streaming options. World of Wonder, they make Drag Race, and so I got booked on this thing, and I was like, this should be fun, like when I said yes to it, I was like, okay, sure. Like, I went on stand up for TV for a minute, and I mean, or this is that an app, but and I don't really need to use like my like most precious material that I'm working on in the sweetest way. I can kind of like cobble together jokes that might work for this audience. And then the day of, I got so nervous because gay men, I was like, this is not my audience. Like, I thought, what are they going to think of my outfit? Like, what are they going to think of my hair? Like, I just was like so nervous. And when I walked out on stage, even, I was so nervous. And then, by the way, I absolutely destroyed. It was very fun.
Yeah,
because I like spoke to them directly, and it was really cute, and they were sweet. But I will say, do I feel the same way about cis gay men that I do about everybody else? No, like that is not.
Yeah.
I think I have this long-standing association with all men of feeling like I don't think I'm valuable to them, and then not knowing how to place myself, because like I'm not femmy enough. I mean, this is my own stuff. I don't feel like I'm femmy enough for gay men to think I'm cute and that we're going to like listen to Cher together, even though I love Cher. And I don't feel like I feel like for straight men, I have a lot of straight dude friends, but I feel like in groups of straight men, I want to be like, we're the same, treat me like a buddy. But sometimes I get sexualized and it's confusing. So with gay men, I'm like, sexualize me more. With straight men, I'm like, sexualize me less. I don't know.
I feel similar.
My own thing.
No,
really?
I do actually. I mean, I think I have like two modes. I either have this mode where I'm no makeup, typically in a Tupac t-shirt. I might have like the biggest collection that's ever existed, and like sweatpants and sneakers, and I don't give a shit. Or I'm like ultra borderline drag femme, which I love, which is my actual favorite. And so it's a strange thing. And then I think my energy is sort of in the middle. So I have a tough time. Like I was just in New York at my work sales conference, and listen, I work at Condé Nast, plenty of gay men, plenty of fashion people, plenty of, whatever. And it's so interesting because some of them, and like the way what I decided to wear, I specifically didn't wear a dress. Like I was very intentional about what I was wearing. I wore this. Actually, you would love this designer. It's this designer from Japan that makes like everything is very structured and very interesting. And so I wore like these gingham pants that they almost look like architectural, and then like a black silk top. And then I did wear like 6-inch heels.
Can I like look this up on your Instagram?
Yeah, I just posted it. And I like everything I wore to the office that week. Like I wore slacks. Like I think about things pretty intensely.
Oh my God, it's cute to hear slacks.
Oh,
thanks for bringing that back into my lexicon. Like that is my grip. That's my nana. Are you gonna wear slacks? That is fucking.
I didn't even realize I said, I wore slacks.
No, you did wear slacks.
I did. Then I wore like a winter white outfit. And I don't know if you know Emma Willman, but Emma and I saw each other, who I adore. And Emma was like, you look like a Christmas. What was she saying?
I like Emma a lot.
Me too. I love Emma, actually. Emma was really funny. She was like, you're like a little Christmas miracle. I was like all in white. But anyway, it was just interesting because I felt like some of the gay men were really like just gagging over some of the women in like dresses. And then the straight guys were kind of like, all right, Liz, like, da-da-da-da. And I was like, okay, like, I don't know. And I don't know if that's just being a queer person where you're kind of like not in these binaries. And unfortunately, I think a lot of the time and I'm going to say this for myself, cis white gay men have like a whole, like they have no need for me. They're just like, okay, so and so that's interesting. Yeah. And I'm not saying people at my work, I'm saying cis gay white men in general, my brother included.
Yeah. Well, here's what I'll say. My 2 things about this. I want to talk about my wife in a second, but first I want to ask you a question. So you said you're wearing no makeup right now?
Yeah.
Do you have tinted eyebrows and eyelashes?
Yeah.
I am thinking about doing this.
Oh my God, I'll teach you. I do it myself. I had to teach myself in the pandemic.
So I get my makeup done for events because I don't fucking know how to do makeup. And you know what? I love my makeup artist. We have a really long relationship.
Love it.
She like really sees me, and it's just like a beautiful, like I will never not. And then she'll recommend folks if she's not available. But like, even if I learned how to do it, I'm like not even interested because I found like somebody who I have this like working artistic relationship with. And you know what? There's a lot of people I'm sure listening who don't get their makeup done for their jobs, but it's a part of my job. And I'm so glad I found somebody who makes me feel good. But the thing that I will say is I have super blonde eyelashes.
So do I. They're like white.
Yeah. I really like my eyebrows, but I did
great eyebrows.
Fuck them up a little bit in the 90s with a little bit of they used to be thicker. So anyway,
you could use a serum. Curious. You could use Revitalash on your eyebrows because mine are white.
What does that mean? What's that?
It's like a serum that'll make your eyebrows grow.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I had to use it because you don't think I overplucked my eyebrows in the 90s?
Revitalash? You got it, babe.
Yeah, I'm going to text you all this shit. I like have it all. You can buy the stuff that I do on my eyebrows on Amazon. I'll make like a whole video for you. I do it all the time because I'm not kidding you. My eyebrows and my eyelashes are white, like see-through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My eyelashes are super. Yeah. Okay. Great.
So anyway, that's
great. That's that. Is there anything else that I need to know about? Like,
No, you have beautiful skin. Your skin is perfect.
Oh, thank you, dermatology. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's great.
Keeping up with your shit. Okay, that's the second thing I want to say is unrelated. Unless you would like to add more to
No,
what we should
you're
do
the guest. No, go. Okay. Yes.
My wife.
Yes.
My wife is perceived as more feminine than me. I don't even, certainly we have different energies. But the number of gay dude friends she has, it's like so many.
Really?
My wife has so many gay male friends. And it's kind of interesting because when I go to her, like when I go to events with her, it's like this whole crowd of people that I haven't been invited to those parties. Like we're going to one of her friends for Thanksgiving. And I just went to his birthday party. And he works at People magazine, and like all of his friends are like dudes that a dude who works at People magazine. Yeah. They're like I just
see what's interesting.
Chit-chatting around.
I know my cis gay male friends they all identify as queer, which I sort of love.
Oh,
they're very like,
this is not that.
Yeah, no, I'm hearing you.
Yeah, this is not.
Hearing you. This is
like
not that.
WeHo vibes. Yeah. This is not like.
Mine are like East Side queer.
That's my friends. Yes. This is like a different.
Okay, fine. Then we can hang out. But
and also not like white, not white. Like many, because my wife is mixed race. So
got it.
It's like gay dudes of a zillion, of every possible
background,
racial identity. Yeah.
I love that.
So it's like a crowd that I am like, I just previously had not had access to. I'm into it.
Yeah.
I'm learning things.
Also, your hair has been such a journey as well. Speaking of,
right?
It's looking great. I really like it. I wanted to tell you. Because when I first saw you, you had like almost like a Jennifer Aniston haircut, if you will, for a while.
I had a side mullet for a while, which was like one
very
side
identifying.
Super grown out and like majestic, and the other side was very shaved. And then I had really, really short, not really, really short. I had like I don't know what I would even call that. Milo from Atlantis hair. Then, oh my God. So like my side mullet, when I had a TV show that was called Take My Wife, that was what that character had. And then when I had that Milo hair, it was on a TV show called Million Things, and that's what that character had. And I feel like when both of those things ended, it felt a little odd to like continue this hair that had like sort of been somebody else's.
Right. That makes sense.
Does it?
I think so. I think if you're like, you've done it and it was a part of a character and you want to move on.
Exactly. Like it's been used up like that. It's
like you did it. Like you had it. You did it.
Hair, it exists. It's
very documented. Like we can always reference back to it if we miss it.
Yeah. Totally.
You know what I mean? Like it's definitely there.
Yeah. So now I'm like, it's kind of like a Gina Gershon and Bound sort of a situation, or like a king princess situation is what I'm gonna eventually have. I'm growing it out a little bit, but then I'm like, when will I stop? Like maybe I'll just have long hair. I feel very curious.
When will you stop?
I don't know. Right now it's like, is this like a night?
No, I love it. I love
heartthrob. What do you think? What do you call this?
It is. It's giving me 90210. It's giving me Melrose
Place.
Place.
It's very 90210, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like it. But you're also like talking to me listen, the problem with me is that I was in love, except for Ian Ziering, really, every single character on 90210. Because I was just like, I didn't even know what bisexual meant. I just was like, I want to be in love with everyone. Like, give me everyone. Do you know what I mean? Same with like Saved by the Bell. I was in love with everybody. So, and then I was like, oh my God, I'm in love with Janet Jackson and Tupac. And you know what I mean? I just kind of wanted like a commune where everybody like loved me the most is really what it was. I was checking out your Wikipedia as one does when they're a seasoned journalist, I suppose, as myself. And it reads that, you did 1 Million Things, which obviously big. You were in Vancouver, which I loved. I feel like I kept asking you if you ever went to Miku Sushi. Did you ever go to Miku Sushi when you were there?
I don't think so. No.
So good.
No.
They do like a pressed sushi. Anyway.
I wasn't like eating every possible thing, but I did do everything else.
Yeah.
That you can do in Vancouver. Like I did every other activity besides go to I went to some of the cool restaurants.
Fair enough.
But I did all the other things.
Well, speaking of eating, it appears that you were on an episode of Hell's Kitchen.
I was.
And
I was.
And I'd like
Isn't
to talk
that fun?
about. Yes, that is so fun because I think for me, if someone's like, what would you want to do? I mean, a lot of listeners know this, and I've talked about this with a few former guests and hosts. I would love to be like on Chopped or Top Chef. Like that would be my dream. What was being on Hell's Kitchen? Were you like a diner? You have to walk me through this.
It was so funny. I didn't know that they do this, but because the Hell's Kitchen set is in Burbank, sort of like right near downtown Burbank. They built it out. So it's like, it isn't really a restaurant. It's a big giant warehouse.
Right.
That they build into a restaurant. So it has an exterior too, you know, like the Hell's Kitchen exterior that, because I love it. I mean, I love Gordon Ramsay. So I've definitely watched that show. And there's like an exterior that looks like I think they actually do have locations that are Hell's Kitchen, but where they shoot the show, they like put an exterior and there's like a carpet, all this stuff is going on. There's a giant line of people that have like signed up to be, you know, diners at the Hell's Kitchen restaurant that is real. It's just created for the show. So there's like real stoves and stuff like that. But I didn't know that they also like stunt cast people to be just eating. Like I wasn't a judge. Like his Hell's Kitchen is just like Gordon Ramsay yelling at everybody in like two teams, a red team and a blue team. And so like the episode I was on, Lonnie Love, who's like another comic.
I love Lonnie Love.
Her husband were there eating. And then me and my wife, Katie, were there eating. And they like basically gave us a 2-top. Ours was right super. We were the closest you could be to the action. Lonnie and her husband were like a little bit further. And, you know, there's like a crane coming around and there's like a maitre d' and all this. And there are servers. And then there's chefs that are actually making the food. And by the way, the food is good. Like it was like delicious. Like it really, I was like, what is this going to be like? It was like very good. So you like order off of a very set menu. It's like sort of like, it feels like a bit like an airplane where you're like, okay, you know, I'm going to order off of these 3 things. And it feels like it's like meant to be fancy, but it's a little faked, you know, that sort of a vibe. Anyway,
very much. But
they brought out the food and then like cameras come around and you like talk to your, like I was like talking to my wife, and so there is footage of me in the show with like, you know, my name under my face or whatever. But basically, the camera comes around and they're like, "Can you talk to each other about the food?" So it's like me saying to my wife, like, "These rolls are really like rolly, fluffy," and then she's like, "Agreed." And this salmon is, you know,
fishy.
Perfectly, yeah. He like caught both of us, right? And then kind of go. But one thing that was very, very sweet also is that I didn't know her at the time, but there's this chef sort of buzzing around. She's like running one of the teams, or maybe both of the teams. And I just like clocked her and was like, that is a lesbian. Like that is a queer person right there. Like it was like, there was like a vibration between the two of us. I now know that she is like her name is Chef Christina Wilson. She won an early Top Chef or whatever the other Gordon Ramsay stuff is. I don't think he's Top Chef.
Is she like helping them along? Because I know another lesbian chef
so then she became like a mentor on the show, but she also runs Gordon's restaurants. So like came from the world of his shows and worked her way up. And now she runs the actual restaurants, the ones that are all over the country. And so she and I there's like a moment also that happened in this taping where like I stood up and just sort of like approached there's like a sort of a boundary around the cooking area. And she stood up and like we sort of met in the middle without like discussing what was going on. And I was like, "Who are you?" And she was like, "Well, I know who you are and I'm a fan." And I was like, "Well, you seem amazing." And so I think we exchanged phone numbers.
I love you. And you're my favorite person.
She was actually on my podcast, and then she came to see me do shows in Texas because she was there.
Did they put that in the episode?
No, but in my private, so this is
in your private.
In my private life, I became friends with the lesbian from that show.
Obsessed.
Just because the two of us, I was like, "Look at how she's holding her body," and we were just two magnets. It was extremely cute.
See, the annoying thing about that, so if I was in that exact situation, I would have had to get up and say, "I eat pussy." Like I would have had to scream it, which is so annoying. But I love that you had that moment, but I always try to have that moment. But I end up looking like this sort of like confused straight woman, like staring at, like thinking about like what my life could have been if I didn't marry like Craig. You know what I mean? However,
we are having a different experience for sure.
How did you book? Like, did you just say to your agent, like, "I want to be on this show"?
No, they just asked me.
Fuck, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You got to be a judge on Chopped.
Yeah.
You've got to.
Yeah.
That is, I think, because apparently the food is not very good because obviously they have like 20 minutes to give you like things that are made out of like gummy worms and beef tenderloin.
I know. It's all so great, right?
It's so good.
It's so great. Yeah, there's so many things I've gotten to do where like I feel very lucky, and it was just like beyond. I mean, I'm from Chicago, man.
I love Chicago. I just went to Chicago for the first time. I loved it.
Yeah, and I like, started out doing live performance, and this is all the whole thing. Like,
what's something though that you haven't done that you would like to do after all this hard work and
Drag Race judge? And I think that I'm working toward being a Drag Race judge. I would love to do that.
What's your vibe on Drag Kings?
Love it.
Do you?
Yeah.
I need to see some better drag king work. I talked about it. I was a guest on a show called Bad Queers. Everybody knows I love them so much. And they ask you what your bad queer opinion is, which by the way is terrifying because I've been a guest several times and I'm like, y'all are going to set my ass up. And my wife's always like, don't say some stupid shit on Bad Queers. I'm like, I know. She's like, don't let that internalized homophobia get you. I'm like, oh, okay. But my bad queer opinion is that I have a hard time. Like, We're Here. I love that show so dearly. I cry every single time I watch it. But every time they turn someone into a drag king, this person is like a circus It's like Pink is playing, circus vibes. It feels very Last Showman is what I said.
Come on.
It is true. Exactly. They're always like court gestury. I'm like, what is that? But I got sent. Got sent on Instagram so many amazing drag kings.
Yeah.
So I have hope that there is a good drag king out there for me. I would lose my mind if you were a judge on Drag Race.
Me too. Well, here's what I'll say.
I'd be like screaming at the TV. Like, that's my internet friend. Like,
yeah. Liz, I think, here's one thing I'm going to say. So, wait, where are you from?
San Francisco.
And then how long have you lived in LA?
I actually moved here once I saw your geolocation. No, I'm just kidding. I moved here in 12 years ago.
Okay. So here's what I'll say. And maybe San Francisco has this. My roots in Chicago are like, so when I lived there, and this has changed a little bit, there was no entertainment industry and there wasn't proximity to California. You moved to Chicago because you were like from elsewhere in the Midwest and you were like, I finally fucking made it to the big city. And it was like end of the road. Like, it was like, I can't believe we all are the happiest we'll ever be. And it's a hard drinking city with a lot of bar culture. There's public transit. People stay out till 4 o'clock in the morning. And the art scene there is everybody knows each other and everybody's a fucking dirtbag. Nobody, because there's no money to be made.
Right.
So like when I lived there, my rent was $300 and I was like cobbling that together, like passing out granola bars while dressed like a granola bar and like nannying and also being a law clerk. And like, it just like was wearing only jorts and like everybody looks like garbage and it's so fun. And all of the art people all know each other, but they all do different disciplines. So there's like a modern dancer and whatever the fuck, like fine artist and then clown, whatever it is. And so anyway, that is where I've seen really amazing kings.
Got it.
I think you need to go dirtbag here. That's the thing. If you're looking for like a sort of a refined drag queen experience where like she looks impeccable and like the kings don't, that's not, we're not looking for that. We're looking for like art queers who have like fucked up rat tails. That's what you just haven't gotten to the rat tails yet.
And
once you're at the rat tails, you'll see the kings of your dreams.
And you know what? I love that you're saying this because that is it. I've seen the pageant queen. Like, I've got it all on lock. I know half of them. They're beautiful. They're stunning.
Gorgeous.
They're snatched. Yeah. They're great. I want like a plumber. I want like a handy worker.
Yes, I understand, and they do exist, and that is the
Chicago
issue. That's the issue. And you know, it exists here in LA too. It's just that like Yeah. You're looking for
grit.
Nastier. You're looking for the seedy underbelly.
Yeah, like I almost want like Rick James or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't want like pink, like I don't want The Last Showman alive. Like I don't want that. I want like Rick James. I want like
I bet I could we'll figure it out.
Okay.
I got this one. I think I can help you.
You
help me with my eyelashes?
Yeah, I got you. So easy, breezy. Who would you love? Like, and for you, do you have a favorite drag race person? Like contestant, winner, anything? Like, what's your?
Well, a lot
it's hard to narrow, but
I've gotten to meet a bunch of them, and I will say that all of them are extremely intimidating to me, and I feel sexually
and very tall
to them. And let's see, where is it? I have Tamagotchi somewhere that I got from Trixie Mattel.
I love Trixie.
She gave me a Tamagotchi.
That's great.
But
Trixie's fun.
Listen, man. I mean, Alaska.
Love Alaska. Alaska lives right down the street from me.
Oh yeah. I mean, what a dream. Yeah. I'm a lucky boy, I've gotten to meet those queens, and I find them to be. I've gotten to have a conversation with Rue. Conversations with Rue. Look, man. I don't know. I mean,
did you see Rue's Architectural Digest open door?
No, but I will look that up.
Go look it up. Not to like plug my work,
did
but
a Zoom with her one time, and she was in just like where she was staying, wherever she was, like Lisbon or something. And
yeah, that tracks.
It was like like Gothic mansion. It was just like perfect.
my only Rue story is we went. This woman, it was Miles Davis' former wife, was receiving the keys to West Hollywood, and at the time, a coworker of mine was quite close to her. I'm forgetting her name, which is awful, but she was an incredible dancer and had a beautiful life and had written a book. And, obviously her life with Miles wasn't like all sunshine and roses, but we went and there was only about 10 of us and we were in City Hall and maybe 10 to 15 of us. And somebody came in late and I, looked around because we were in a theater and it was RuPaul. And I was like, holy fucking shit. Rue sits down. They say, oh, are there any questions? Or I don't even think they asked if anybody had any questions, but Rue raised their hand. And they're like, okay, yeah. And Rue asked a very kind of, intense question about her life. So, sort of, and I'm going to paraphrase because this was many, many years ago, 8 years ago or something. Something to the effect of like, well, why didn't you just leave? Or something wild. And everyone was sort of like, huh, interesting. Or like, what, did you benefit from? Or it was kind of just a provocative question. It wasn't rude by any stretch, but it was very provocative. And this woman's like 90, by the way. She answers, kind of goes on. Nobody else asks a question. I sure as fuck am not going to ask a question. You know what I mean? Like, what am I going to? And then, as we were leaving, the ceremony's ending, take the pictures, we're all starting to walk out. RuPaul gets on a city bike with a little like basket, puts the Louis Vuitton backpack in the basket and just pedals away. Dude, like right on San Vicente.
I don't know the answers for what we're all up to. That's so funny. But like, I mean,
like what?
I don't know. Here's what I will say. I have to go eat something in a second. We have to make that possible. But the number of here's what I'll say. I don't know. Do you want to hear a good story to end things?
Yeah, let's wrap it up with a very good story, and then I want you to get something in your belly.
I think it's a pretty good story. Okay. So years ago, I hosted the GLAAD Awards. And the reason I'm thinking about this is because one of the people that was presenter was Luke Perry. And
which you're giving Luke Perry.
And when you said you had a crush on all people, and he was giving an award to Patricia Arquette for like her advocacy. And so he was backstage and he was so sweet, really nice and like calm and like good vibes, introduced himself to me, which I always appreciate when somebody's like more high status, for that person to do the intro. It's more annoying if it's me to him. It's much better if it's him to me. So I thought that was very generous. Other people that were on the show, one of them was that this is somebody I had to intro. One of them was Mary J. Blige. And it turns out that person, that is not even a person you can say hi to. Like, she was so, I was like, hey, I'm about to intro you or whatever. And like, I can't even register it as rude. The amount that she did not seem to register that a person was speaking to her, because she's so
MJB
above all of us energetically. Like, it was, I just was like, and as it should be, you know, like, this one face. But so like intro Mary J. Blige. But other people that were at, and again, I'm just a little guy. I don't know what I'm doing here. Fucking trying my best. And they were like, backstage, they were like, the Gettys are here. They're here and they're at this table. And we want you to go interact with them because they're big donors for us and everything. So I go out. I mean, the Gettys it's oil money for anybody who doesn't know. They're like
very big San Francisco
John Paul
family.
Getty's relatives. And they have an amount of money and legacy endowment. It's like beyond what any of us can understand, right? Correct. So I like go to their table. I mean, this is on television. And I was like, hello to the Gettys. Congratulations on being who you are or whatever. It's so amazing. Can't imagine what it's like to have 3 museums. And I like hold out the microphone or whatever. And one of them, I can't remember what this guy's name is. It's not Nats, but it's like that same generation. I'm like, 3 museums. What does it feel like? And I pull up the microphone and this person just says 4.
I bet it was Balthazar.
That's it. That's the whole thing. That was the whole interaction. No other words were said. They weren't like, nice to me. Nothing. Just 4. I honestly, that move, I'll think about that for the rest of my life. Just not 3 museums. 4.
Can
you imagine?
No, I can't imagine.
It's off the
Richter.
It's off the Richter.
It is. It's off the Richter. Cameron Esposito, I love you. You're one of my favorite people of all time.
This was such a cute chat.
Was it?
It was. And this time, do me a fave.
Yeah.
Come to all shows, sit in the front. I'm serious. I'll invite you to.
I will. And I went to go to the one, and my dog got so sick. I had to go. You invited me, and Ravioli had to take her to the fucking vet. Okay.
Yeah. I have a new show at the Elysian Theater. It's going to be every Tuesday at 7:30 here in Los Angeles in the new year. Right now, we're just piloting it once a month, but in the new year, it'll be every Tuesday.
Okay. Well, I'll come to that.
Yeah. You better. You're a dream. Thank you.
What did I tell you? The best, right? 10 out of 10. No notes. Cameron has a bunch of shows coming up in Los Angeles, a bunch of monthly shows that are coming out. So make sure to follow Cameron on Instagram and listen to their podcast, which is amazing, which, by the way, you should DM Cameron and have me on the show. Make sure you check out my Patreon. Lots and lots of video content there. I do weekly Patreon only episodes, depending on your patronage. Sometimes it's twice a week, sometimes it's once a week. Definitely a lot of stuff coming up there. So make sure you check it out.